up sometime, and it does pop up now. Okay, we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuning in to Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. My name is Shon Williams, aka the President, and you're listening to the Safe Room Podcast, a safe space for entrepreneurs and business owners here in Toronto to share their personal and professional stories. Today, we have a very special guest, someone I've been keeping my eye on. You know, when I have my little eye just kind of peeking out, just seeing like, okay, who do I need to get on the podcast this week? And this person, it was her time. It was her time to come on the podcast. So let me just give a quick little bio for you people to know who this person is. So this is Kerry Wilson, and with a rich history spanning over 20 years. I'm going to say that one more time, 20 as a child and youth practitioner. She has devoted working as a behavioral management consultant, specializing in transforming the lives of children, family, and youths. That just sounds so powerful, and like that just sends chills down my spine. And I love to see people who are making such a huge impact. I'm so excited to have her on the podcast, on the show today. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only Kerry Wilson. Kerry, how are you doing?
I'm blessed, thank you. Blessed and highly favored. How is everybody doing today? How are
I'm
you
doing great.
doing?
Doing
How are you
great.
enjoying the weather?
I love how you're acknowledging the people. You know, it's like, how's everybody doing out there?
Because it will be coming up that they will hear it. So definitely making sure that they know that we're thinking of them.
I appreciate it. I mean, that's the beauty of doing this live. You know, everyone gets to tune in. They get to say their regards. They can message in the chat on YouTube, you know, to join in the conversation. So, I mean, it's always good to expand the circle when it comes to these type of conversations.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, Carrie. But I mean, how have you been? I mean, how's your week been? Are you doing okay? Has it been super busy, super productive?
You know what? Because I guess it's summer and the kids are home and I work from home, so I kind of feel like I'm productive, but always try to be productive in some areas. So I did get some work done today, so that's being productive. So so I guess
It's
I'll say yes. It was a productive day, and then
you
I'm
know it,
here.
it's better than nothing. It's
Exactly.
better than nothing.
Exactly.
Okay, yes. Like I mentioned, we're definitely going to get into your work as a behavioral management consultant. We're going to talk about how you started your business. We're going to talk a little bit more on self-care, mental health, behavioral attitude. So this conversation, I feel, is going to get very deep, but I'm ready for it. Sometimes you need that conversation to just kind of hit you in the chest like, whoa, like, excuse me, I guess we're going in that route. So I'm very excited to have you on. But before we get into the main question, before we get into everything about your business, we have to start it off with our top segment, the hot seat. It's a mainstay on the show. I know Carrie's smiling because she's thinking, I don't know what this hot seat is, but we're just gonna have to roll with it. It's nothing too scary, Carrie. I promise. It's just 4 simple questions, and I just want you to answer them to your best abilities.
Okay.
Yeah, very simple. So, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So, the first question I want to ask you is outside the work that you do as a behavioral management consultant, tell me something about yourself in one sentence.
Tell me something about myself in one sentence. I am blessed and highly favored.
Just simple, just one and done.
That's it.
Okay. All right. I like that. You know what? That's also probably the first time someone has given that specific answer as well. Like,
That's
first,
that's what came to me, so that's exactly what I am.
yeah. I guess like maybe to kind of even expand on that, why would you say that is the best way to describe yourself, especially if you're probably meeting someone you never met for the first time, and like maybe that's the approach, or maybe that's what you want to tell people, like I'm blessed and highly favored. Like, what is it about that phrase that really like symbolizes or is like a deeper meaning to you?
I think that just shows that the fact that, not everything that I do is because of God. Like everything that I have, the way that I am, my business, even the guidance towards my business has been on my spiritual, my faith and God. So, and when I say that, it makes me not go into complaining. and picking out all the things that could be wrong or is wrong, but just focusing and keeping my eye on the blessings. So that's why I say that, because it keeps me focused on the blessings that I have and the blessings that are coming, that you don't know when they're coming and when they're going to be in front of you. And that just ties into the way that I do my business, which I'm not going to start into now, but definitely tie into my business format as well.
I love that. Amen to that. That's a word. That's a word right there.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, let's get on to the second question. So, what are three character traits you think people would describe you as? So, again, let's say you're probably with your friends or maybe against someone you're meeting for the first time. But let's say it's with your friends, because I think that probably fits the structure of the question. Like, what do you believe are three character traits they would use to describe you?
I think definitely the first one would be caring. So I have a big heart and I'm very caring about everybody, everything. The second thing would probably be straightforward. So I don't really sugarcoat things, and I try. Definitely my delivery I've been working on for many years. It's much better, but I'm not one for the sugar coating. I'm definitely one for calling things that they call a spade a spade. So that's definitely probably something somebody would say. And I think everybody probably say I have a good sense of humor. I like to smile. I like to laugh. I enjoy, just having good company and good humor around. So I don't take things too seriously, but I do take things seriously.
I love that. Honestly, I feel like that's the best traits to have if you're someone like you're Karen. And I feel like, I don't know, this is like a nickname I probably just develop, but like Karen Carey. I feel like that
Hmm.
rolls off the. So I don't know. Like, again, you guys let me know. Does that work, Karen Carey? I can see if it's like a tongue twister and everything like that, but I digress. um, but yeah, like I feel like Karen definitely for sure straightforward. You want people, especially in your circle, who are just straightforward with you, but it's not in the sense where it becomes harsh or it's like a very negative approach. It's more of, I just want to see you like win and I'm trying to
Yeah.
support you. And sometimes I got to tell you like it is. It's like, if this ain't working, then it's not working. But here's how you can, get better at what you're doing. So I think straightforward, super important. And humor. I mean, who doesn't like a person with good humor? Like, some people say like I'm funny. I'm like, I don't know where y'all get that. I'm not funny. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not
I'm
funny.
not funny. I'm not funny. I just have a good sense of humor. I'm not funny.
Yeah, like my sense of funny is actually me when I'm being real. Like, when people hear me drop like the most like truth bombs, like just right in their face, they find it like, oh, that's hilarious. And it's like, I guess I can't judge humor like that. I can't say what's funny or not, but it is what it is.
Exactly. You just accept what people, if that's what you want to call me, okay. As long as you're not calling me anything negative, I'm good with I'm funny.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, question number 3. An interesting fact that you rarely share about yourself.
Hmm. An interesting fact I rarely share about myself is that I taught myself how to do makeup, and I am a makeup person. So I want to say makeup enthusiasm. So I enjoy makeup. I enjoy, learning different ways of doing things and trying them. It's my calm.
I love that. I love that. How long would you say you take to do your makeup? Do you feel like it's not as long because you kind of perfected, you kind of master like, okay, this is what I'm gonna go for one day. And I know like that might be even a sticky question itself, because it's like for some women, it's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my makeup. Like, one day I want to do this, but maybe the next day I want to do something completely different. But what would you say on average you take in terms of like doing your makeup?
I would say if it's just a regular day, like a regular, I'm just going out and I'm doing like for this, it took me about an hour. I would say about an hour. Yeah. I'm still fine tuning it, trying to cut it down, but I haven't gotten there yet. And if I'm doing a real beat, it will take me more than an hour. Like eyeshadow and all of the dressings, it will take me more than an hour. So yeah, I would give myself an hour at least to get something done.
Yeah, definitely for sure. And listen, for everyone listening, I am not a makeup aficionado. I don't know much about in terms of like getting ready for makeup, but I feel like an hour is like ideal, which I feel like is okay. If anyone told me like if they're not trying to, pamper themselves up too much and they're just doing something a little bit more on the daily, and they say like I take 2 hours. No, sorry. Like I don't want to judge, but at the same time, it's like what's going on? But I feel like an hour is ideal.
I think so. I think so. Definitely. I mean, I could do it quicker, like 15 minutes if you're not really doing much, 15 to 20 minutes. But I think an hour is like reasonable. Don't we think,
Definitely.
ladies?
Definitely. But I feel like it's also self-care. Like you're really prioritizing your self-care. Just like, you know what, for 1 hour, I just want to feel good and look good for myself as well. So I feel like that's something I can't critique as well. Cause sometimes like, it's not just for women listening to this conversation, it's also for the men too. You can pamper yourself and look good and everything like that. I think makeup can be used as a way for self-care to make yourself feel good as long as, it does become, I guess a negative image where like you rely on like looking good through makeup all the time. It should just kind of feel more of like I guess a luxury rather than a necessity. That's just my take. That's my hot take. Again, don't come after me, ladies and gentlemen. That's just speaking my mind.
I always say it's an added bonus.
There we go. Carrie said it best, an added bonus. Okay, perfect. Okay, the last question for this hot seat segment. What is your personal safe room? So, what is a safe space? It could be physical, it could be mental, that allows you to be your authentic self.
My safe space is usually around people who know me well. So whether I'm with friends or my family, that's my most safe space. But like I said, I don't switch up for anyone. So I'm always like everything is safe to me in a sense.
I
Very
feel you.
optimistic and very open-minded with those things. And I've learned over the years and I've acquired the skills of being able to set boundaries and be able to have discernment in regards to people and places. So yeah, I feel like everywhere is a safe space for me. But my safest space would be with my children, my family, and my friends.
Yeah, I love that. It's always good to hear someone come on here and say like my family is my safe space and my safe room. Cause like, yeah, like for me, it's the same thing. Like my family, just like it's something about family,
Yeah.
having that connection with each other, whether it's like you're inside your home and you're spending time together, or if you're going out as a family to like
Yeah.
different events, which is like something my family and I we love to do, go out to events and just or go out to functions, whatever the case may be, together, just having a good time. And it's always great. But even for you mentioning anywhere it's a safe space, I think that's also having self-control of yourself as well. It's like you can step in a room and no matter the circumstances, you can feel safe. Because again, for some people, they step in a certain room, they may feel intimidated, they might feel scared, they feel like they don't belong. And that can, bring a lot of maybe imposter syndrome or just lots of fears. And now they feel like, oh, I'm just at a lower level than this person or this group of people. But for you, you kind of have that self-control knowing that I could be anywhere, like on in the city, in the world, and it could be my safe space, which I think is really great. It shows a lot of self-control.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
For sure. And we're seeing that the comment section are getting active too. So that's my safe place too. Yeah, see, like I love it when the audience like just connects with the conversation. It just
Yes.
knows like we're here. We're right here.
We're getting it. We're
hmm
connected.
Okay, perfect. But yeah, that's all the questions I have here for the hot seat segment. So you gave some really good answers, Carrie. Good job.
Thank
I love the
you.
vibe that we're started on. So it's just gonna build up and go to the next level. So I'm super excited for that. But for again, people who are tuning in right now, you are listening to the Safe Room podcast here on Love Bay Radio. We are here with Kerry Wilson, a behavioral management consultant. We're here to talk about her business, how she got started, speak a little bit more on self-care, a little bit more on behavioral attitude. So, like I mentioned, this conversation is going to get very deep. So, I hope you guys are ready. I hope you got your pen and your papers. Take some notes because class is now in session. So,
That's right.
let's get right into it. Okay, perfect. So, Carrie, The first question I want to start off with is I want you to share a moment in your childhood that had an impact on you negatively. And I asked you that because I did my research. Of course, I had to do my research, and I went on your website just to take a look to see, like, all right, so what's Carrie about? And like you mentioned, you are a mother of four, and you did hint out in your bio about just how you got started with your business. Obviously, I kind of know because again, I did the research and I kind of wanted to look in a little bit more. But you did have a little passage about how it all got started, and I wanted to ask you this question about a moment in your childhood because maybe I could tap into some part of maybe like something that happened in your childhood. Did it lead to this road of you starting your business? And of course, it may not be, but I do want to kind of touch on that touching point maybe just to see how we can expand on that. And again, eventually we'll get a little bit deeper into what your business about. But again, I would like for you to share a moment in your childhood that did have an impact on you negatively.
Definitely. I don't know if I guess what do you define as childhood? Like how far back is childhood considered? Because I consider childhood still being like before teens. Like that's childhood to me. After that, it's kind of like, okay, you're kind of gearing towards adulthood. But so if you're gonna look at teens being a childhood, I definitely would be becoming a teen mom and having to, that was not, I don't want to say it was a negative thing, but the way that society looked at it back then, it was a negative thing. So definitely for me, my son is a blessing, and it was very traumatic in all the aspects of being a teen mom. But society really traumatized me with that. With becoming that. And I think that, and also being a Black, not only being a woman, but being a Black girl and a teen mom, and also an immigrant, a child of an immigrant and an immigrant, because I wasn't born here. And I really, so that to me was a negative point in my life, like a negative aspect of my life that I really wanted to switch into a positive one. So then we'll get into that more, how I did that flip.
Yeah, definitely. You did mention how, like, again, becoming a mother at the time being, it was society who had, like, like you had a traumatic time when it came to society. And, like you mentioned before, the social norms back then are completely
Yeah.
different to now. But I feel like as much it is different, it's kind of also been undermined better now because it's like you can kind of still get those tendencies with certain people or in certain spaces that you're in, but it's just like they do a better job of just making it more maybe passive aggressive. I'm not trying to say that's the case of every space. I don't want to generalize here, but you'll still get spaces that they'll be very straight up based on, who you are, what you represent, how you behave in certain spaces. And I feel like that's super important. And you mentioning how like you weren't born here in Canada. So like again, being a black woman or like a black immigrant at the time, being just like coming here to Canada, that's something again for a lot of people, they may have to go through that. And it can be a very stressful time. And again, we go through all these negative stigmas and stereotypes, whatever stuff that are placed upon us, it leaves a toll. It's kind of like, a punching bag, like you will punch the bag and it's like, even though the bag doesn't feel something, it still leaves like the force of it. So it just sucks it in and it's just like, it's there. So it's like, it still feels the pain, but and eventually on one day, it's like it might break down. Eventually, the punching bag is gonna be worn down. It's just like it can't do nothing else. It's just use of a service. Like that's the analogy that kind of came in my head. So you did talk about that. Now, fast forwarding, like what did you learn, I guess, from growing up, from some of the things that you experienced through maybe just society's judgment, some of the things that you went through. How did that lead to you starting your business and wanting to talk on those touching points, want to help, children and youth with having better mental health, better self-care, and, breaking down those walls when it comes to those negative stigmas?
Definitely because of it taught me resilience, and it taught me to not look for out external validation. So I think I wanted, no, and I definitely know I wanted to I always say to my youth when I was doing more frontline in my younger earlier starts, I used to always say to my youth, I wish you would see me. I wish you would see yourself the way that I see you, through my eyes, because the way that society sees them and the way that the messages that they hear, and that goes for me being a single mom and being, a teen mom, all the messages that you hear are negative or not so great, or, so the internal voice needs to be louder than the external voice. So I think for me, that's what it taught me, is for my internal voice to be louder than the external, and to not let other people or other things define my projection of my life, or where I want to be, or where I'm going to be. So I know that's definitely what led me to start my business. I mean, the story is deeper and longer than that, but to sum it up, that is really what made me push myself to continue and keep me continuing to do this, because I still see that there's a need in society. I just would love, our people, Black people, as well as people, because I work with everybody, but Black focus, to be really understanding that you need to be proactive instead of reactive. And that's also what I learned as well. Also, to having twins at a somewhat young age, that definitely, you have to be proactive instead of reactive, because you have to plan. You have to make sure that you always have another way of doing things. Like I said, you always have things in your toolbox, and you pull them out when you need them. And that's what I do with my youth and my families and who I work with, is always letting them know that you have those tools. They're there. You just have to pull them out, and you just have to look at them in a positive manner in order for them to be affecting your life in a positive way. So don't let external be louder than your internal.
Absolutely. I think that's such a powerful message. Again, a lot of us are, even adults, us today, like we struggle to use our internal and not focus on the external voices out there. Sometimes it's like a growing's pain. You have to kind of get through certain stages until eventually, you reach that point where I'm able to kind of stand on my 2 feet, just listen to my voice and
Right.
just believe in myself. But again, instilling that into youth, I think at a young age is super important as well, especially when you look at today, you have the factors of like technology and like social media. Like there's certain things that you'll see that will influence your behavioral patterns on like what you consume, who you hang out with, what certain actions will you take, again, being like proactive, reactive. It's also when you're being proactive, are you making the right moves rather than the wrong moves? You don't want to do something that's going to now become like, this is how I look at this person nowadays. And I think when you're talking about children and youth, I think of school. Like when I was in high school, I was like part of like this conference called Black Brilliance. And like what we tried to do at the time being, it was a group of us. We were still in high school, by the way, while we were planning this. But what we tried to do was to basically create a conference where we had Black youths running the conversations. Like they were the student voices, and they were speaking to other students on some of the things that we go through as Black youth in our community, in and out of the classroom. And it was basically creating a space for people to be vulnerable and to share, but also uplift them and realize that you have this powerful voice, and we want you to basically project that in your own schools. And like it was a huge success, and it still goes on today. But what I'm trying to get off of this for everyone listening is that it's always good to start young, because you never know what that one decision could be where it takes them down a completely different path. And now it could be too late for them, basically.
Yes. Yeah. As long as you have breath in your body, it's never too late, I feel, in order to change your life and do things differently. But it does take, like behavioral management consultant, it does take, dedication, and it does take, an understanding and understanding that it's not going to happen. It's not going to turn around tomorrow. Like it took you a while to inherit and to learn this behavior. It's going to take you a minute to unlearn. So I always say the 3 R's is to wait. Oh my goodness. You see, I haven't done this in a minute. So it's a little bit off my tongue. It's not as off my tongue as it is, but definitely to relearn. And I have 3 R's.
It's all cool. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Oh gosh, I really have to go get back into that focus, eh?
You know what? Listen, sometimes I have my moments on the show as well. I mean, like, it was just a couple weeks ago, we were doing like a little activity. It was like an alphabet type of like scenario. I completely skipped the letter at the end, and I didn't even realize it, and so I was embarrassed. But again, sometimes we're human. It's okay. But I did actually want to go a little bit deeper into your business and kind of break down the definition of behavioral management consultant. So, like, what does that actually mean, and how do you usually work with children and youth? Is it within schools? Do you try to kind of utilize your expertise within school settings, or is it even something where you're working with families? Like, what is the process, and like, what does your title mean?
So definitely I've copped this title in a different way because there is behavioral management consultants for in schools within schools, and they go into the school and they're specifically geared to the school. So my title in being a behavioral management consultant is more on an I want to say informal base. Where I have a CYW background over 20 years of, as a child and youth worker, and I've been doing that. So what I've done now is incorporate all those skills that I've learned throughout the years as being a child and youth worker, working within the different aspects, which in the school system, within mental health, within hospitals, all those different areas that I've worked throughout my career, and bringing it to you guys. So making it accessible, making it easy, making it where you have that, I want to say auntie, or that mom, that's there for you, that understands the system a little bit different and is able to help you to break down. So what I do in supporting you in the three areas of school, at home, in person, and also online. So I wanted to be able to utilize it in any area, that you are around the world. Definitely would love to get it into the Caribbean because I know our people. I know our people still struggling, and I know our people need to relearn a lot of things. So what it is just a one-to-one basis where I help you to, if you're having any behaviors that are hindering you from performing your dailies. So whether it be that you're struggling with getting your children to go to school, or is getting them engaged in school, getting them just listening to you to do things, that is what I help you to relearn. So relearn whatever you're doing that's not working for you, and I'm here with you from A, B to C to get it done and to get it changed. So I think that helps me. That kind of helps you understand, but definitely there is more in depth on my website and on my Instagram page as to what exactly I do. But yes, I do work with families and individuals. I also facilitate workshops, life skills workshops, to help you to learn those skills and to engage youth in a positive and productive way. So I have many different hats as a behavioral management consultant, but definitely know that I'm able to work with a wide variety of people and areas.
Yeah, that's amazing. And ladies and gentlemen, again, single mother, no, just one person, one man team, one woman team, just no assistance, no help. So that's even more impressive. And I think that's super fantastic in what you're doing. You mentioned how you would like to take this work, to the Caribbean. And like, I actually looked at the comment section. Someone did actually message saying a lot of young women in my country, in Grenada, need to be listening to tonight's program. So you might have an audience that you can tap into after this, Kerry. So,
I love it, love it, love it. I'm from Antigua, so I was born in Antigua, and I'm also part Grenadian. So that's great.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. We
My
love to
dad is
see that.
Grenadian. He's actually in Grenada right now. My I want to say my the person who gave me life. I don't want to say dad. But definitely the person who gave me life. He's part Grenadian, and I'm Antiguan. So yeah, definitely love the Caribbean, and definitely know that our people in the African diaspora as well. I'm open as well because I know we're always like, I don't want people to know our business, and we're very like want to hide things and want to be more of, shameful, instead of looking at it as everybody goes through it. It's not like you're not on an island by yourself. And that is definitely what I want to bring to our community, and utilizing my services is there's no judgment. You really is in a safe and no judgment zone when you work with me, and your business is not going to be out there either. There's confidentiality to my business, and I I am a big upholder of that. So don't worry about that as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. I do have a follow-up question. So kind of sticking on the Caribbean subject, have you worked with any Caribbean families here? And do you find that there might be a difference between, Caribbean families that you work with to maybe just other Black families who are born here in Canada? Do you feel like there might be a difference in terms of like what they'll tell you in terms of like how their youth interact with each other, or maybe just certain things that they tell you? And again, I don't want us to be like where you're spilling confidential information, of course. I don't want it to be where you're spilling too much, but I just kind of want to know because I do feel like, when you look at the Caribbean, especially for someone who's like, if you're living in a Caribbean household, there's certain things that you'll hear, like certain behaviors that you'll like get at a young age. And when you get older, you kind of reflect and you kind of probably ask your parents, like, why did you do this to me? Like, why did you do this to do that? It's like, well, like, that's just like where I came from. Like, when I grew up, that's just how it was. And like, sometimes you have to either just accept it or just be like, like, now it's up to me to just know, like, is that something that I'm gonna pass down to like the next generation if I have like children, or is like that's something I can change? Do you find that there's a difference between Caribbean families here that you work with compared to other families that you worked with?
Yeah, there's a difference because there's a cultural difference, and especially if they were born there and raised in the Caribbean, it's different than being born in Canada and raised in Canada, and also to the generations because I'm like what third generation Caribbean, so my kids don't really know what I went through in the Caribbean, and as much as you try to instill, it's still not the same as living there and growing up there. So it does get washed off as the generations go um, down the generations. You try to keep, but definitely it's different. And also too, just merging the two, helping this generation of the Caribbean understand their generation of the kids that being born here. Because it's like, yeah, they don't understand what you went through, and you are not understanding what they're going through because you have a different mentality and you were raised different and you're in a different time. So trying to merge the two is what I noticed that I have to do a lot. I have to say to the mom, but because I've been there, done that, I can definitely go into it and be like, listen here, I manure said them people that don't listen and don't want to hear. But we also have to understand that they're in a different society. They have different stressors. They have different things, words to put to things now that we didn't have. We didn't have anxiety. We had anxiety, but we didn't have the word to attach to it. We didn't have the how to handle it, or the tools to help us handle it and be able to label it. The kids now today have more. They have more tools. Not saying that they're utilizing it all the time. That's where I will come in, and that's where my business comes in, is to help them to utilize it. But definitely know that they have it more accessible than we did and my parents did. So yeah, I'm trying to help merge a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's where your position and your role fits super well, wanting to merge the two and kind of be the middle ground. And you mentioned like when it comes to tools and resources, again, you have so much accessibility today where like you can go to like different centers and speak to someone, or maybe if you just need to go on a website and like pick up information, like that's so crucial. But like maybe for previous generations, you didn't have stuff like that. And sometimes it's more of not trying to have like a conflict between the two generations or more, but having like more of an understanding and having to say like, listen, like I grew up like this, and like that's something like I can't change. That's something like that's not going to go away from me. But I understand like I cannot just force upon my teachings or things that I went through to you because like it's completely different. Like I have the chance to understand a little bit more on both sides. Again, like maybe the youths can understand from where their parents come from and vice versa. And I think you addressing that is such a like unique selling point to anyone that I think that they would understand. And I can tell from just the way you're explaining it, this is like just it's heartfelt. It's not something that's like, oh, I have to say it because it's a business spot. Like, no, like I can tell like this is something that you truly care about it. Again, you wouldn't be having all this credentials, again, being a CYW background for like 20 years. Like
Yeah.
that's amazing. Like what you're talking about is because that you care. If you don't care about what you do, then I mean, what else should I say? There's nothing. You kind of have nothing really else to build from. So I really loved how you even weaved that all together and how you explained it. So I think that's super important. Wow.
And I think just to understand too that I know everybody may have had many different jobs or many different careers. Literally, from I went to school and I got into being a CYW, I've not done anything else. So my credentials are very, very concrete. And I've been doing this and I still do it now. And my day job is still working with Black youth who are struggling. So and families, Black families that are struggling. So it's I walk the talk and I I am the outcome of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay. Again, for anyone listening right now who are just joining into the conversation, you are listening to the Safe Room podcast here on Love Bay Radio. We're here with our fantastic guest, Miss Kerry Wilson, a behavioral management consultant. We have had a really good conversation about Kerry and her business, talking a little bit more on behavioral attitudes, looking at separate generations and just looking at the different aspects from there. But I want to dive a little bit deeper into mental health now. So, how do you feel? And again, this is the next question I'm going to. How important is it for you to be an anchor? And that's the title I'm giving you. Okay, I'm saying that you're an anchor for mental health and wellness practices in the Black community. Because again, when it comes to mental health, even a couple years ago, like it was still kind of like not a new thing, but it was just starting to kind of gain the traction of people wanting to, acknowledge it more and use it for their betterment. I feel like that was when things start to get rolling. So how do you try your best, even with your business and your interactions with people, that you want to be an anchor for mental health and, parade people to understand and learn? And I really use learn about certain practices for mental health and wellness, especially within the Black community.
I think definitely I just keep it as it's an overall like it can't the right hand can't go without the left hand, head can't go without your neck. It is a part of it. I mean, mental health is a part of it and wellness is a part of it because if we like and that's why I say my business it comes from a holistic approach to care. So it's not just, oh, well, I'm just going to fix the child. And the parents like to be like, okay, here, here. No, it's a holistic approach to care. So meaning if the parent is the parent and you are parenting the child, then you have to be a part of the solution as well. It's not just the child. Yes, the child will listen to me. I can definitely get that child to, you know what I mean? But then who is that child with 24/7? It's not me. And it's not my voice that they need to hear in stronger than yours. It's your voice that they need to be listening to and they need to hear. So definitely it like I said, the head can't go without the neck. My business can't work without mental health awareness and wellness awareness as well. So holistic approach to care is what I call it.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of explaining it. And a follow-up question I did want to ask you is that what are some mental health and even wellness practices you've taken for yourself that allows you to, have a clear mind, but also, prioritize your self-care, yourself, just awareness of things, because I know for a lot of people, they have different ways of how they cope with their mental health or how they look to just be in a more chill and relaxed state. And again, it differs with everyone. So, how do you have like different ways of just practicing better mental health and wellness for yourself?
So my personal thing is just being able to, take time and relax, and whether that is vegging and scrolling through Instagram or watching, binging on a show, or taking a bath, or going and getting a massage on my feet done. I definitely take those times, and I used to feel guilty, because again, I'm coming from a different generation who was taught that as soon as you rise, you have to be busy until you go to your bed. And it's the same thing over and over again. And you don't really take time for yourself. You don't buy things for yourself. The kids come first, all that sort of, recondition that I have to relearn and unlearn. So, yeah, so it does take time and it does take, consistency. And it also takes, what's the word that I'm looking for? When you really Intention. That's it. You see with the ABCs when you forget. So intention. It takes setting out those intentions. Like, this is what I'm intentionally going to do for myself today, and I do that for my kids too. Like, I have my youngest are now 15. I do that for them as well. Like, if they need a mental health day, they take a mental health day. I don't question it. I don't be like, oh, are you trying to get away from school? Are you trying? No, I'm like, we all need it. We all need it, whether we're tiny or whether we're grown or whether we're not. So definitely just taking that time for myself and doing things that I enjoy, and also not feeling bad about it. So that's another thing, is the shame. The mom guilt is what we call it. I definitely can tell you that I've retired the mom guilt, and I no longer have that. I mean, it creeps up. It tries to creep up sometimes, and I just push that out with my intention to not let it come back.
I feel you. I absolutely feel you. And like, I think it's super important as well because I kind of want to piggyback on what you said so far. Even for someone like myself, I do have that tendency where if I say I'm, maybe again going to read a book or go outside for a walk, just kind of step away from my work, there is something in the back of my head that's saying, like, oh no, you need to be working like 24/7. Sometimes you'll have that little guilt trip where I shouldn't be doing this. Like, I'm not sure if I need to take a break right now. And I feel like, again, and maybe you correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like when you mention for like previous generations, like they always had that mentality to keep working. I feel like, again, it's probably never gone away. I think it's kind of redefined itself in today's society in terms of like how people will keep that trait. Maybe they'll keep that trope for some person might have that. Maybe another person doesn't feel that. Maybe if someone takes a break, they're not thinking about work. Maybe they're completely clocked out and it's like, oh yeah, like it's just me. Like, I'm here. Sometimes I'm like that, but there's other times I'm telling myself, I don't know if I should take this break. Like, I'm taking the break right now, but at the same time, I'm kind of contemplating. So I feel like that's even an interesting conversation to like have on its own because there are certain aspects and certain attitudes and traits that, maybe passed down from generation to generation that may not be triggered at some points, but it may be triggered at another moment. And I think that's another conversation that can go deeper into it. But I do think, again, you being a mother and allowing your children to, practice that mental health, saying like, you know what, if you need a break, like, who am I to question you? Like, take that break, take all the time that you need. Like, I'm gonna be very honest, I shouldn't be saying this, but like when I was in university, there were times like I didn't want to do work. I didn't want to go and do a reading. Like, I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna step away from the laptop. I'm just gonna take like a nap. Like, that was literally my calling card. Like, every day I would have to get like a 1 hour like nap or something like that. But it made me feel better because like once I woke up, it's like, okay, I feel refreshed, I feel good. Let's get back into it. And you can't tell yourself all the time like you have to be a machine. Like, you don't have to worry about having to be efficient all the time. There's times like we're gonna be inefficient, we're gonna have flaws, we're gonna have inconsistency, but that's what makes us human. And it's more about how do we prioritize ourselves to have better longevity than rather burden ourselves out, especially for entrepreneurs. If you're an entrepreneur, like, I don't want to hear people saying that they work like 10, like, or even 15 plus hours under business. Cause I'm like, there's 24 hours in the day. If you're working 15 plus hours, how do you sleep? Like, that's my question now. So, I mean, I think for anyone for this conversation, it applies of just using mental health as a way to just kind of celebrate yourself in a way, like treat yourself to something good and just tell yourself you're doing a good job. No matter what's going on, you're telling yourself you're doing a good job.
That saying that I'll sleep when I'm dead, I hate it. I literally don't like using the word hate either, but I do hate that saying, because it's like, God didn't put us on this earth and give you life to just work, gain material things, and that's it. Wellness is important. You see, your body or your mind said to you, you need that hour, whether you like it or not, you're gonna take it. And it became a practice of your wellness, and it made your life better, even though you didn't want to. You probably wanted to keep working, but again, we have to take that time to take care of ourselves and understand that this life is not It's not guaranteed. So tomorrow is not promised to anyone. So enjoy the blessings that you have and the blessings that you have around you. And that means taking time to breathe, taking time to be with your children. We've just changed words, like hustling is just the same thing as the Heyman family. I know I'm aging myself by stating this, but yeah, it's just like, Jamaica. You remember that Heyman family? Jamaicans having 50 million jobs, and that was what was pushed. And now we just change it to I'm a hustler. Like I'm always hustling. I'm always on the grind. We've just changed the words, but it's the same thing. We're still not taking care of ourselves, and we're still not taking that time to understand that things and material things are not the most important thing, but definitely relationships and wellness, our mental health is the best. The best. What is the word that I always use? Our mental health is wealth. Is mental wealth. Our mental
Mm,
health is wealth. So you transfer it down, and the way that you take care of yourself is the way that your children are going to watch and how they take care of themselves in the long run. So what do you want to instill? How to make that $50,000 by grinding and hustling, or how to take care of yourself for what you just said, longevity, so that you can
mhm.
actually enjoy the wealth that you're working towards.
Absolutely. I think you even said something on your website along the likes of like generational wealth is not just financial. Like I
Yeah.
read that, I thought like,
More.
man, that hit the chest. Like that
Yeah.
was deep.
Yeah. And that's what I have. That's what I instill in my children is that, yes, I want you to be successful. I want you to do what you want to do in life. And I want you, to make those changes. But I also want you to enjoy your life. I want you to take that trip if you want to take that trip. Or, if you're not enjoying that job, find a different one. And you know what's this generation has that mentality a bit better than us. Because we didn't have that. Like I would have stuck through that miserable job because it's a job. And that's what my mother instilled. Like, even if you didn't like it, it's a job. You still have to take care of their bills. You have to take care of this. Instead of saying, yeah, Carrie, just look for something else. You know, no, that was never told as we were growing up. It was like, tough it out. You don't take sick days. You don't take vacation. You don't, you just work, work, work. And unfortunately, it ended up having a shorter lifetime span for our generation, or not our generation, but our parents' generation. And where now today we have to now instill that in our parents. Like, mom, come to the spa with me, come out to lunch with me, instead of still going at 70 something. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Mm.
So definitely it is a way that a relearning that we need to do in a Black community. And I think we're doing it. It's just baby steps. As being entrepreneurs, baby steps.
Yeah, definitely for sure, for sure. Okay. I want to move on to this little role play activity.
Role
So
play. Okay.
I promise you, it's nothing too crazy. It's not like drama or like, oh, we have to act. No, no, no. I want to kind of like enact a one-on-one session. I kind of want for the people to kind of experience like what would it like to like what would it look like, contacting you, how the conversation will be. I kind of want to, give that little live scenario for everyone listening right here on the safe room. So I'm gonna try my best to kind of just like spitball. So if I butcher this, I apologize 100%. But let's say I'm someone who's coming to you, and let's say I have children, and I approach you and I say, "Hey, Carrie," I'm like, "How are you doing?"
Oh, I'd be like, hey, what's up? What's going on with you? What is your name? First of
Yeah,
all, what is your name? I'm like,
yeah. So my name is Sean. I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. I wanted to ask you about some of the work that you do. See, I have two kids, very lovely children. They're both in high school right now, and I noticed that sometimes, like when they come home, that they'll have like certain attitudes. Nothing too like serious, but I noticed like I feel like I'm not communicating better with them, and it may be because of like the people they hang out with at school, or maybe just the people they hang out with outside of school, like their own friend circle. And I'm a little just on the fence. I don't know what to do. Like, and again, I don't know that much expertise like you have. So maybe you could help me figure out like just how to approach this, or maybe you could tell me some things about what you do, and maybe I could explain a little bit more into depth.
Definitely. Thank you for, approaching me and asking me that question and letting me know a little bit about your family. I truly appreciate it because I know it isn't easy talking to a stranger about, and asking for help. So the first step is asking. And what I can offer you is a 30-minute free consultation. So you can book a time with me and we can go through this and we can see if I'm the good fit for you, because I want it to be where I'm just not taking your money just the purpose, but that I'm really truly connecting you with the right person. If I'm the right person, then let's get it started. And if I'm not, then I'm definitely going to help you connect you with who is. So yeah, let's definitely book that 30-minute consultation and then we'll go from there. But thank you so
Oh,
much for, reaching out.
yeah, of course. I appreciate that. I found you on Instagram. I just was kind of scrolling through my feed and I saw Surf Your Life. And I was like, it sounds interesting. And I realized it kind of connected to the problem I had right now. So I would definitely love to book a 30-minute call with you and kind of explain more and hopefully, just kind of hash out what my problems are with you, and maybe like, is it okay if I invite my children to the conversation, or like should it just be like me and you one on one? Like, what would be the best approach?
For the first consultation, it would be one-on-one. So it will be just you. And then I'll get the information. And then from there, I can let you know what the next steps are. Because definitely we don't want to be like, oh, yeah, come on, kids, tell me all your life to all the strangers that they meet. We want to definitely have the confidentiality. So definitely let's book that 30-minute call. And we will go from there. The next steps from there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Kara. I really appreciate that.
No, and
Do you have
thank you for,
avail?
watching me and checking out my Instagram. I really appreciate it. And keep watching because there's more to come and refer.
Of course, thank you so much. All right, perfect scene. That was perfect. I love the way you were like, just yeah, refer. Like, make sure you do that.
I always like to push that part. Like if it's not for you, then tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend.
That's super important. Super important. Okay. I do have one final question before we get into our activity portion. I got some little fun games.
Activity, what role play activity? This is
This
not
the activity part's a little bit more fun, but like I do have one more like final question, I guess. Like, what are some final takeaways that you want to share with everyone, especially to anyone listening who probably can relate to what we talked about? Maybe they have children who, again, based on their behavioral attitudes, or even like if they practice self-care or not, or they practice mental health or not, like what would you advise them to do? Like, if and there's any advice, maybe if it is booking a call with you, because I know I definitely want to see you growing in your business, Carrie, or maybe just anything that they can take away that allows them to let this conversation resonate with them a bit more.
I think what I always say is just remember that your children are a very short time in their life before their behavior is just cute. So remember that it's cute behavior can grow into problem behavior. So be proactive instead of reactive to situations. And also, yes, book that call because you never know if having fresh eyes and fresh ears is always better than consistently going through the same patterns, the same things from generation to generation to generation. So breaking that cycle just takes one call sometimes or one step, and that's just doing something different.
I love that. I think that's super important. Like you mentioned, like cute behavior and problem behavior. I've never heard anything like that. That's actually very unique. So like maybe you could like go a little bit deeper into like what cute behavior and problem behavior looks like, and like why you don't want to get to that issue of problem behavior, or like maybe eventually, like I don't know, like I said, like I'm new to this whole conversation, so you're the teacher in this situation. Like let me know and let the audience know
Yeah.
exactly like what's the difference in between.
So, for example, cute behavior when they're little, you're like, oh, they, call you by your name. And some people go through that. They want their children to call them by their first name. But that also, when it translates to, is understanding that as it also gives children, letting them understand that there is a place and time for everything. And you're not always able to be like, you can't go to your principal and be like, hey, John, You know what I mean? Even though you know your principal's name, even though you know it's just respect. So what I mean by cute behavior is like what we think is cute at 1 and 2 and 3 is not at 13 and 14 and 15 and 17. So throwing things, or hitting you or biting or, those sort of behaviors you think is okay, that's a little, okay, Timmy. Or, okay, Sandra, that's okay. But then as Sandra gets older and Timmy gets older and goes into school and goes into society, it is not cute behavior. It is now problem behavior, and they're labeled differently. So be proactive and nip that in the butt before it becomes a problem. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of like providing that distinction. And I will say to be fair about the principal thing, I feel like unless you're super cool with the principal, which I was, like we used to call him by his first name as a joke thing, but like he kind of
Exactly.
liked
A
it. But
joke
I
thing.
it was like, oh, like what's up? It's like, hey, how's it go? I feel like that just shows connection, but I'm getting off topic a bit. But I do think that's super important as well because again, there's a certain age where there's like certain things that are cute, but when you get older, it's just like you have to just be a little bit more cognitive and aware about the certain reactions, the certain things that you do. So I think that's super important, and it could be other examples. It doesn't have to be like, oh, when you're young, you throw something, and it's like, oh, okay, like don't do that. Then when you get older, it could even just be like more on the I guess the verbal aspect, like certain
Yeah.
things that you say, like maybe when you're young, you say like a snarky comment. It's like when you're young, it's like, oh, like, oh, that's
So
cute, isn't that?
cute.
But
Aw.
if you say something a little bit on the wrong side nowadays, someone may actually like get like very like they may get physical with you depending on who you're dealing with. So like it's having that awareness about your surroundings and what you say. So I think that's super important. I think that's a great way to let people know listening here,
Yeah.
like what's to kind of take away from this conversation. But that's all the main questions I've asked you. And again, for anyone who is tuned in from start to finish, thank you very much. For those coming in still, welcome to the Safe Room on Love Bay Radio. We have our guest, Kerry Wilson. We've had a phenomenal conversation about her business, talked about behavioral attitudes, her background as a behavioral management consultant, a little bit into just self-care, mental health. A lot was covered, but we have to end off with a little bit of fun, a little activities. So just pulling up my stuff right here. So I have 2 activities we're gonna do. Okay, so hopefully this goes well. Now I've done this a couple of times here on the show, and it's basically blind ranking. So Carrie, I'm gonna explain how it's gonna work.
Okay.
I have 10 TV shows, more preferably 10 black sitcoms. These are
Okay.
from the 90s and the 2000s, okay?
Okay.
I want you to blindly rank them without which one is coming next. So what's going to happen, I'm going to list the show and you have to rank them from like 1 to whatever. Usually I do 1 to 5, but I pick 10. So for example, I say this show. You have to figure out, okay, where am I going to rank this? Am I going to rank it at 1, at maybe 4, at
Okay.
9? And again, I'm going to be given each show as I go. You have to rank it. So the whole point of this is that it's messy because you don't know what's going to be next. Maybe you have a favorite show in this list and you rank
We'll
it
see.
high. Maybe if you rank it low, you don't know. I'm here to mess with your brain a bit. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, let's see.
Okay. So I'm just gonna quickly pull up my notes here. All right, perfect. So are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. So the first show I have here is Tyler Perry's House of Pain. Where are you ranking that? So 1 is like the best, and 10 is like that's my least favorite. So it doesn't have to be 1
And
and 10, but it's like 10 straight
yeah,
up.
yeah,
So you're not gonna put it like anywhere in between like 2, 4, like 10 straight up.
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, that kind of hurts me a bit. I'm not gonna
It's just not my generation.
You know what? That's fair. That is fair. I understand. Like for some people, they may have not watched the show. Have you heard of the show though, or no?
I heard it, but I think I maybe watched maybe 2 episodes of it. So that's why I got a 10 because I barely watched it.
I understand. I understand for sure. Okay. So number 10 for House of Pain right there. I'm sorry for all the House of Pain lovers out there. I apologize. But it is what it is. Listen, Kerry said at the beginning of the show, she's straightforward. So she's sticking to her word.
It's exactly true.
Okay. The next one I have here is Family Matters.
I would give Family Matters a 4.
4. Okay, like it's on the higher echelon for you.
Yeah, because I grew up with that.
Okay.
And I love Steve Urkel.
I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't love him? Okay, next one is
Let's see.
Girlfriends.
Girlfriends too.
Oh,
Friends. If I know the theme song, it's gonna get a good rating.
okay, interesting. So we got Girlfriends and number 2. Okay, I like it. The next one I have is Sister.
That can go to 6.
6.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that just more of like, I don't hate it, but it's kind of like,
Yeah, it was an okay show.
okay, perfect. All right, so the next one I have here is Everybody Hates Chris.
Everybody Hates Chris. Did I do 5 already? Because I would give that a 5.
You do not have 5. 5's still open.
Okay, so Chris would get a 5.
Okay, we're gonna put Chris at 5. All right, so just to list out right now, you have Tyler Perry's House of Pain at 10. You got Family Matters at 4. You got Girlfriends at 2. You have Sister at 6, and you have Everybody Hates Chris at 5. So you still got that number 1 slot open.
I'm trying to hear what you're gonna give me next.
Okay. Next up, we have A Different World.
Oh, A Different World. Okay, I would give A Different World a 3.
A 3. Okay.
Yeah, 3. I'm trying to see what you have next to see what the 1 is going to be, but yeah, definitely. If not, I'm gonna have to take that and give it to A Different World.
Listen. We'll have to see. Okay. The next one we have is My Wife and Kids.
7.
7. Okay. Number 7. All right. The next one I have here is Smart Guy.
Oh, Smart Guy. I remember that show. I'm still waiting for that 1. So I'm giving it, I'm going to have to give it an 8.
Okay.
I like Smart Guy.
I could be messing with you. Who knows?
I know, like you're not going to give me a good 1. I'm telling you, I'm waiting for that. I'm going to have to reshuffle.
So I just want to make sure. So for my count, you still have the number 1 spot and the number 9 spot open.
Yeah, I'm holding that. Let's see.
Okay, so the next one we have is Living Single.
Okay. I think Living Single will have to be number 1.
Okay. Are you putting it number 1 because you feel that's the right choice, or are you just thinking like, I don't know what Sean's gonna say for this last one?
I don't know what Sean's gonna be for the last one, so I'm just giving Living Single something.
just taking the bullet right there.
Exactly.
Okay. I respect it. All right, and the final one, your number 9 slot is the Boondocks.
Oh, okay. Definitely would not have given Boondocks 9, but okay.
So, quick question: what show were you expecting me to say?
I think I was coming along the lines of the Cosby. It was like coming along that lines where you said Living Single, and I was looking at those ones. Maybe Cosby was going to be the number 1.
I was honestly trying to leave those main shows out.
227. I know I'm going way back, but 227 or Good Times. I don't know. I was going way back.
I wanted to leave a couple of the main shows out. I did not want to say Martin or Fresh Prince because
Oh yeah, I forgot those ones too.
I did not want to say. I said, let me mix it up a bit. Like, let me take the main ones out and throw a little like wrenches in there.
Yeah, Living Single. Oh my goodness. Now I'm gonna have to go watch that again.
Okay, so the ranking goes like this. So Living Single at number 1, Girlfriends number 2, A Different World at 3, Family Matters at 4, Everybody Hates Chris at 5, Sister Sister at 6, My Wife and Kids at 7, Smart Guy at 8, The Boondocks at 9, and Tyler Perry's House of Pain at number 10.
I definitely would change Sister Sister with Boondocks.
Okay. Guys, let her know how she did in the comments. But I have another blind ranking. This one's a little bit different, and it's only
Okay.
5. It's only 5 selections, so don't worry. I'm making it a little bit easier on you.
Okay.
So the theme for this one is music genres.
Okay.
And more specifically, it's not just like a genre. I also decided to pick certain decades as well, like for said genre. So like you might
Okay.
get like 70s and like this genre, if that makes sense.
Okay, we'll see.
Okay. Well, hopefully you can redeem. Maybe this list could be better than the first one.
Yeah, okay, we'll see because I don't really know names to songs.
Well, again,
but I know them.
well, don't worry. I'm just listing out the genre and the year and the decades with it. That's it.
Okay, like soca, like that.
Yeah. So let's start off, and I'll let you know how it will
Okay.
go. So the first one is 2010s pop. So basically, we're considering pop music in the 2010s. Where are you ranking that from 1 to 5?
Pop. Can you give me an example of what would be 2010 pop?
I mean, like, again, this is kind of like more for my generation. So, like, you have like the Katy Perry, the Taylor Swifts, like pop music, like
Okay. Okay.
2010s.
5. I give that a 5
Okay.
because I'm not.
I had a feeling you're gonna put 5. I'm like, she's gonna put 5 for this one for sure.
Yeah, because pop. No, but 5.
Okay. Respectable choice. Okay. So the second one I have is 80s R&B.
80s R&B.
Yes.
2. That would have to definitely go 2.
Number 2. Okay. Interesting. All right. The next one I have here is
80s and 90s. I think it's probably 90s. I'm thinking.
I said 80s.
Give me an example of 80s. Who's in 80s?
I mean, like, I know from 80s, like you think about.
Would it
like,
be Prince? Is Prince 80s?
Yeah, like Prince, MJ, and everything
Oh,
like
okay,
that.
yeah, no, okay. So then, yeah, 2. Could stay at 2.
Yeah. The next one I have is 2000s reggae.
4.
4. Okay.
Yeah, because 90s reggae is the best.
Ladies and gentlemen, she said it, not me. So
90s reggae is the best.
okay. The next one I have is 90s rap.
90s rap? 3.
Yeah.
I would give them a 3.
Number 3?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you still have the number 1 spot open. So I'm happy to say you made the right decision because the last one was 90s R&B.
Then they got the one. Yep.
I was trying to fool you. I'm like, maybe she'll put the 90s rap from the last round. Like, oh God, I don't have the number 1 open again. But you got me. You got me on that one.
So that was a good one because I would give 90s definitely a 1. The 1.
Yeah, definitely.
My Instagram is giving the 1 too.
Oh, okay. So we're about to wrap up. So just to recap quickly. Number 1, 90s R&B. Number 2 is 80s R&B. Number 3, 90s rap. Number 4, 2000s reggae. And number 5, 2010s pop. So those are the activities, and that's everything I have for today. So Kerry, thank you so much for coming on the Safe Room here on Love Bay Radio. You were a fantastic guest. Love having you. The conversation was absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was a great time. And I definitely know there's been a few people. Maggie's been on here and I loved it. And, just keep doing what you're doing. I really appreciate just giving the entrepreneurs, our small businesses, which we become big businesses, this platform to be able to express ourselves and also to be able to share our business. So I love that. Thank you, Shon.
Of course. Where can people find you on social media or contact you?
You can find me at Surf. Everything is Surf Your Life. So whether it be on Instagram or TikTok, I'm not very good on TikTok, but I'm getting better. But definitely the most active is Instagram, and I'm going to be more active on YouTube. So it's Surf Your Life everywhere. So Surf Your Life, SERF. And I don't think I said what Surf Your Life stands for, but SURF stands for Stop, Evaluate, Reassess, and Follow Through with Your Life.
I love that. I love that. Okay, perfect. So thank you again to Kerry, and thank you to everyone listening to the Safe Room here on Love Bay Radio. You can find us on Instagram at the Safe Room Official. You can check out our website at www.thesaferoom.ca if you want to look at all our episodes on our website, or head over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts to check out all our episodes. But until then, we'll be back here next week listening to your favorite podcast here on Love Bay Radio. But until then, we'll see you guys next time.
Good night, everybody, and good morning, good afternoon.